are listening to the Basketball Nerd Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Basketball Nerd Podcast, episode 7. I think we're both very excited for this show today. I'm your host, Derek Lauder, joined by my co-host, Frank Alger. One of the biggest weeks in this year, the NBA, and honestly, possibly in the next decade for the NBA, was the draft lottery, and these conference finals that are going on right now will probably decide the future of some free agents. So just want to say right now, thank everybody for listening to the show. If you're listening right now, we'd really appreciate a subscribe on iTunes and a 5-star rating and a follow on Twitter at bball_nerd. And we'll go ahead and hop right into our first topic with the lottery and the Pelicans taking the number 1 pick, securing Zion Williamson, most likely, unless they decide to trade it. Is tanking dead? Does this mean that tanking's finally dead and that we've proved to these teams, the bottom 3 teams, that the Knicks for sure tried to get the worst record they can, that this will discourage teams in the future from tanking? Or do you think tanking's still going to be alive and well if a prospect like Zion comes around again?
I don't think tanking is nowhere near dead. I'll say that, but it'll be interesting. I mean, it changes everything. I mean, the Pelicans, if you look at them, they tanked this year once Anthony Davis wanted to be traded. They didn't let him play in the fourth quarters. They didn't even want to play him initially, but Anthony Davis wanted to play, so they had to play him because of the Players Association. Towards the end of the year, they ended up just benching Anthony Davis and not even playing him, which doesn't help you win games. That does the opposite of if you decide to bench your best player and not play him in the fourth quarter. And it worked. It got them better odds. It got them a 6% chance versus last year where they would basically have no chance of getting the number 1 pick. So
let me ask you this, though. Let me define tanking like this. Do you think there's a difference between teams maybe 10 through 14 trying to lose games at the end of the year for better odds at a number 1 pick? And don't you think maybe like Zion Williamson being such a big prospect impacts that? But isn't there a difference from that, from teams literally trying to lose games, like even the players know we don't want to win this game all season? That's kind of what is what I mean when I say tanking's dead. We're not going to have teams that are like from day one, we're trying to lose every game this season.
Well, I don't think tanking starts day one really. Tanking gets amplified in the last month and a half of the season, and you really see teams really trying to lose games. And here's another point: the Lakers jumping from 11 to 4, which basically would have been impossible years prior. If this class, there was one golden star obviously that everyone wanted, and that's kind of rare, and the rest of the class honestly isn't that deep. But imagine last year's draft, that was super deep. If last year's draft super deep, you could be like, oh, we have the 12th worst record. If we get to the 9th worst record, that increases our odds of getting into the top 5 or top 4 and even our number 1 pick greatly. So it might insensitize that when there's a deeper class. And there's always going to be tanking when you got a Zion in the draft. That will never go away. Like when a Zion is there or LeBron's there, everyone's going to be like, well, if we're not winning the championship, let's try our best to get him.
That's why it's good that the Knicks didn't get the number 1 pick, is because they had the worst record, and it would have encouraged tanking even more. But I think it goes both ways, because I also think there will be teams out there that say, look, winning games is more valuable than a 2% chance. And look what tanking got us last year. A team that almost made the playoffs got the 4th pick, and the Lakers. We might as well just almost make the playoffs and have ourselves a chance because it's not worth it. So I think it could go both ways. But I definitely think that if we get a draft class that's really even, maybe like top 5-6 players are really even, no golden star, I think tanking will be almost gone, almost dead in that season for even teams that are towards the bottom, because they just want to win as many games as possible, and they'll take their odds at a 1%, 2% different chance, you know?
Yeah, it goes both ways, but then you could look at it, you could be like a team like on the borderline of making the playoffs, and you could think, well, and when the West is like super tight, like it's only a couple games sometimes for barely missing the playoffs to being like the 11th seed in the West, like the Lakers were the 10th seed in the West. So
yeah,
like you could look at it, if the Clippers making the playoffs, you could argue that it wasn't beneficial for them making the playoffs. I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying you could make the argument because, hypothetically, they could have lost 5 more games and had a 1%, 2% chance at getting the number 1 pick. And,
totally agree with that.
It's going to
just
be interesting
the weight of
to
experience first. Yeah, it is. It's going to be very interesting to see. I'm glad, though, that the lottery's been reformed to these percentages, because I really think that we'll really know next year, but
It-
I just think that when it comes down to it, and it's like, do you want to win this game or do you want to have a 0.5 better percent chance to get the pick?
It adds drama. The ratings for the
Huge
lottery last
drama.
night was up 70%. That had to do with Zion
That's
and
crazy.
this new lottery structure. And
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna have, when the odds are like this, you got 10 fan bases with a legit chance to get the number 1 pick. So they're all gonna be tuned in.
It adds a lot of excitement.
Versus before in the years prior, it's like you basically had to have a top 3 worst record to have a chance.
Okay, so kind of flowing into the topic of tanking and kind of why we got on it, we'll talk about the Pelicans' number 1 pick that they managed to get with just a 6% in the draft. As you just told me earlier, their ticket sales, apparently they sold a bunch last night just because of that.
2,000
But
season
really,
tickets overnight.
2,000 overnight just because Zion's there. I mean, that's incredible. For New Orleans isn't a huge market. It's not a really small market either, but that's awesome for a team like that. But what my point on the number 1 pick is this: they should consider possibly maybe trading this for LeBron James being the only trade, because if you're the Pelicans,
You're the only
you have a
person
window
talking
to
about
win
this,
a
by the way.
championship right now. Yeah. You have a chance to win a championship in these next couple years if KD leaves. The West is not going to be wide open, but if you have LeBron, AD, Drew Holiday, and whoever else they could fill that roster out with, you're going to have a shot. So I'm not saying you should go out and shop this pick completely, but if the Lakers call about LeBron, you have to think, because that's a championship now. And if you draft Zion and trade AD for another top 5 pick, which it kind of sounds like that's what the vibe around the league is probably what's going to happen, you're essentially starting over from when you drafted AD. You just had one of the top hyped prospects in the last 10 years, and you've done nothing with them, and you're about to get the next top hyped prospect and restart. So it's not a bad thing, because I think they could trade AD for a huge package and pick 3 or 4, draft another star or another young talent, another young guy from this draft, and then build towards a championship in the next 4 or 5 years and be the Western Elite. But it's going to be really interesting to see what they do and if they can move back into the top 5. What are you doing with this pick?
Well, I just want to talk about your crazy idea right here about trading
all right.
Zion for LeBron. I mean, it's, I don't know, that's pretty crazy. I still don't think the Lakers will even try to trade LeBron, and you have to think about, would LeBron even want to go play New Orleans? But I see the correlations with David Griffin and Anthony Davis and him already want to play together. They're represented by Clutch Sports, Rich Paul, and so they could be like, well, if it's not going to work in the Lakers, maybe we just go team up in the New Orleans and Pelicans. But I really don't think that, because the whole reason why he made that the Lakers move was family reason. Like reports said, his family said it's either Cleveland or LA, and he decided to go with the Lakers in LA. And he's moved into that. Fatherhood is probably more important than honestly basketball and winning. It's still a high priority, obviously. So he could, if the Lakers threatened to trade him, he could be like, I'm just gonna retire, like Antonio Brown did when he got traded to the Bills. He was like, I'm just gonna retire, I'm not gonna play for you. And they're like,
I don't see LeBron pulling that if he gets traded to a team to
we
play
don't
with
know
AD, though. At least I see him at least giving it a shot.
It could be a possibility. I mean, it's New Orleans. That's a major move. He never really thought he was ever gonna live in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but it's not like Michigan, like Detroit, Michigan. Like New Orleans is a cool city.
Yeah, it is a cool city, but it's not, his family's not gonna move there, so it's like he's gonna have to live there by himself and stuff. Which there's a lot of hypotheticals. But if I was New Orleans, I wouldn't even make that deal if the Lakers called me and were like, "Hey, LeBron for Zion." There's so many other factors. They would have to make the contracts work. So LeBron has $40 million, so they would have to trade Zion, and I don't even know who. They would definitely have to include Drew Holiday's contract, like Solomon Hill's. Like they would have to be able to get to that $40 million cap. So it's a crazy idea.
That's true.
If they came calling though, I totally get why you would say yes. I would say no. And to get to your argument where you said they had a top 5 player, 6 years ago, or what, not 6-7 years ago, when they got Anthony Davis, who was a hyped up prospect, one of the most elite prospects coming in.
Yeah.
And they did nothing with him. But right now you have Zion. They got blessed with Zion, and have Anthony Davis to trade a ransom for. If they didn't get blessed with Zion, they're probably trading Anthony Davis. Say the Knicks or Lakers won that number 1 pick, Anthony Davis is getting traded for Zion, most likely, is what's going to happen. So it's crazy. So they get Zion, and now they could go trade.
Yeah.
Trade scenarios, the Knicks are in great position. I know there's reports that they don't want to trade him to the Lakers, but I think that's stupid. If they give the best offer, you take it. So that Lakers deal, deal is still on the table.
Well, that Lakers that they don't want to trade to the Lakers, that was the previous GM too. So it could be, Griffin could be completely open to making the best deal. I think it gets done to the Knicks or Lakers. Like, do you think that the Pelicans move back up to the top 5 for sure for AD?
Either Knicks or Lakers. Yeah, probably. I really feel like if Katie,
I think that's
I really feel like if Katie
done.
and Kyrie are really going to the Knicks, that the Knicks will get the deal done. They'll offer the third pick because you talk about going all in. If Katie and Kyrie are going there, you offer that third pick, which could be either Ja Morant or RJ Barrett to pair with Zion if you're New Orleans. Plus, you easily get Dennis Smith Jr. You would easily get Mitchell Robinson.
Okay, so based on what we talked about with the Pelicans pick, kind of moving forward into the mock draft for these top 5 picks, how do you see the top 5 shaking out? And you can talk about this with trades or without trades and how you think the order's going to be. How do you see it shaking out?
I'm gonna do it without like really assuming a trade, and honestly, I think the same guy would get maybe taken with a trade or without a trade. So I think Zion obviously goes 1. I think the Grizzlies take Ja. Conley only has 2 years left in the contract. I mean, they shopped him a little bit this past year. They're definitely looking for a replacement for Conley right now. So I think Ja would be a great replacement. I know Barrett, they could go Barrett, but I don't. Right now, I feel like they would go Ja. And then if the Knicks have the pick, they take Barrett, and if they trade it to the Pelicans, I mean, you probably take Barrett. Barrett and Zion are great friends. They played well together in college. I'm not huge on Barrett, but I think that's the route they would go. So I think Barrett would go 3 regardless if Ja is gone at 2. Lakers is interesting.
Yeah, I agree on that top 3.
Lakers is interesting. They will probably want to address shooting. If they're smart, they would go Garland, but I don't think they're smart, and I think they're just going to fall into Cam Reddish, who is supposed to be a great knockdown shooter, but if you look at all the metrics and numbers in college, he wasn't good at anything.
Right.
So very alarming, but I think they would go Reddish. And then you have the Cavs, who just took Colin Sexton last year, their guard. They need shooting, they need size. Culver or Hunter are the 2 that I think they would consider. I think they would end up going with Hunter when it's all said and done. A little better shooter, in my opinion.
Leaving Culver on the board at 6.
Yeah, Culver's on the board at 6.
Wow.
For the Suns, I love Garland. I think Garland's like the second best player in this draft. Like, he's a shooter, like an elite shooter. Like, and paired with Book
extreme
will be
stroke.
Beautiful. Like, so I'm praying the Suns take him at 6 if he's there. Who do you have top 5? You disagree with anything there?
I definitely think Zion, Barrett, Ja top 3.
You think Barrett goes 2 though? To the Grizz?
I don't know. I honestly it's a flip of a coin for me right now. I think there's a lot of GMs in this league that rate Barrett as the only other like franchise player, and I think people do have concerns about Ja about his conference and all that, which is fair. Like, whatever people, that's fair. But I'm personally pretty low on Barrett compared to most people. I think he's
I'm right
he's
there
extremely
with you.
overrated. And like, one of his quotes was that he thinks he's the best player in the draft. Like, I understand your confidence, but like, in a lack of awareness, you just played next to the best player in college basketball history.
Well, give some context though. He was like, I think anyone, if you ask him that question, should say that the best player. So it's like, I don't know.
That's true, but still, like, you RJ, but he plays like that quote though.
He does.
He doesn't play like he was playing next to. He plays exactly like that quote.
Yeah.
He plays like he thinks he's the best player in the draft. So I have some concerns about him. I think the Knicks, if they don't trade the pick and he's on the board, there's no way he gets past them. So I think it's for sure going to be Zion, Ja, and Barrett top 3. But I strongly think Pelicans move up to 4 or 3. It's going to be a bidding war. It's going to be a bidding war for AD, and the Pelicans are going to have an insane young core to build around.
Yeah.
If they get the trade from the Knicks or the Lakers, including Lonzo, they could easily pass on Ja, though, if Barrett's taken at 2, and take Culver or Hunter. And if they do, the Lakers, if they're still at 4, they're probably not going to draft Ja Morant. I mean, maybe.
Ja's not slipping, I don't think.
Bro, that's the one scenario that he could, because the Cavaliers are not going to draft him. They just drafted Colin Sexton. The Lakers, I don't see the Lakers drafting Ja Morant if they keep their pick, which means that they would keep Lonzo if they keep their pick.
Trade that pick to Might take Ja Morant too.
No doubt. But if they keep that pick, but I just don't. I see if the Pelicans get a point guard back, I could see them not taking Ja. And if he doesn't go at 2, so if Barrett goes at 2, there's a chance he slips to 6. There is a chance because I remember a while back you were even saying there's not that many people that need a point guard, so Ja could slip if we slip. And
But
it's kind of been lost now because his hype is so high.
Yeah,
now he's been so hyped since
his hype
that.
is so high. I really think Memphis.
Yeah, you said
really
that
makes
before
a-
he was as hyped.
Memphis makes a lot of sense because he could sit behind Conley for a year. So
Yeah, but if Memphis is high on Barrett, as some people are,
if he gets past 2 though, say they go with Barrett or Culver or whoever, and the Knicks trade their pick to the Pelicans, I think the Pelicans would take Morant too. 'Cause
even
Drew
if they have
Holiday-
DSG though,
yeah, even if they have DSG,
if they get DSJ in that trade,
I mean DSG hasn't proven himself to be a starting point guard in this league
No,
long term, but I mean
you
he does have
can-
potential.
right? I just think it'd be hard for them to pick Ja when Culver and Hunter are on the board
I don't know
because those are
I
two
think
elite
David
wings.
Griffin
You
would
know,
take best player available too, which would be Morant.
I mean,
there,
imagine this
probably.
team, like if you had DSJ. Well, Ja Morant, you could argue like best potential, but he does have concerns on his jump shot. Like Culver is smooth. Hunter is an elite defender right away. If your team is Zion, DSJ, or Lonzo, and then your third piece, like you can either add Ingram, like you said, Mitchell Robinson, and then you add Hunter or Culver. I mean, geez,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
that's
the
a young
Pelicans
team to really be messed
Got a
with.
gift from God.
Pelicans are
winning
in the
this
best
lottery.
position in the NBA. The best position in the NBA,
Oh.
without a doubt, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's to set themselves up, obviously.
Well, yeah, they got to make good moves
It's
with
crazy.
it, but they're in an incredible position.
I don't know. Like I think Garland would be there at 6 for the Suns, like to move into what the Suns should do. I hope so. I think if teams are smart, he should go top 5. But because I think Garland's the best
Yeah.
shooter in the draft. So
Well, from a Suns perspective, I want to address this. A lot of people in the Suns community are really upset that we got this 6th pick and that we fell to 6. And there's a lot of people that around the community that say the Suns got the short end of the stick and that we got bad luck that we fell to 6. I'm okay with falling to 6 because we like Garland a lot. And so that's a player that we might be forced into taking at 6, where we would have taken Morant if we would have had a lower pick. And if we can't get him, Culver or Hunter will be available most likely. And I don't think we'll go with Reddish. And I'll take the best 3 between Garland, Hunter, and Culver. I'll take any of those 3 and definitely take them over pairing Barrett with another player with Book who just seems like pretty much a nightmare waiting to happen. So I'm not that upset. I'm really not that upset with 6. I wanted 1. I prayed for 1, but I'm happy with 6.
if the Suns had the number 2 pick, I would take Garland over Morant. I know most
Right.
Suns fans and most people wouldn't do that, but I would. I love Garland.
And I'm pretty sure the Suns wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Oh no, they definitely won't.
That's why I'm glad that they had 6
At the same
because
time,
now they might be forced into
we
taking
still have
Darius
to, we
Garland.
still have
Shout
to
out Darius Garland.
trust the Suns because what if Reddish is there? Hopefully we don't take Reddish. What if Kobe White? I really don't want us to take Kobe White.
Kobe
I'm
White and
not
Reddish
high
are on the do
Kobe
not
White.
disturb list. Do not disturb them
Don't-
from the green
if-
room. Let them stay in the green room
Yeah, because
at pick 6 and do not
players
disturb.
are going to be a Phoenix Sun. It's either going to be DeAndre Hunter, Jared Culver, Darius Garland, Kobe White, or Cam Reddish. I think it's going to be one of those 5 for
Yeah.
sure. And as long as it's not Cam Reddish or Kobe White, I'll be satisfied.
I don't know, man. I have a
If we
hard time
take
seeing us
Garland,
drafting Kobe
I'm
White.
so-
I have a really hard time seeing us drafting Kobe White because James Jones has said nothing but how he wants to add people in his prime. And Kobe White is a project if I've ever seen one. I really think that at that point,
So
they
are
may
you
just
thinking-
trade it.
I know I hear Suns fans and people saying we're going to trade the pick, but
I still
I
think
don't know.
that
We're the 6th.
you know,
The one thing for trading, the 6th pick's less valuable than the 4th or 3rd pick. So if we did wanna
package
trade
pick
it,
6
value
to the
is,
Sixers and
less.
give me Simmons. Give me a package. Next year's pick, top 3 protected, TJ Warren and Josh Jackson, and give us Simmons and someone on their roster. Just see what they say.
I would offer more.
Just send it, It's offering the Sixers a chance to slightly change their course, get some talent, get some more assets, and go forward. And they're going to decide this offseason what they do going forward. People don't understand this is the offseason that they decide, what their roster looks like for the future and what it looks like going forward. they're either re-signing these 4 and going 4, or they're going to completely change it up. So let's get it on the sweepstakes. Anything on that's coming out of Philly, especially because we just hired Monty.
So if we can't get Simmons though, would you want us to trade the pick still, or what are you doing with the pick?
It depends. It depends for who. My number one thing is take Garland.
If we could get an established star somehow, which I don't think
so either.
Be able to.
I say take Garland, Culver, or Hunter in that order. If you give me Garland, Culver, or Hunter, and Hunter, Culver are like tied. They can be A, B for me. So you take either of those 3, and I'm excited. I'm happy as a Suns fan. All right, so moving into Warriors versus Blazers, a little recap of 2 nights ago. Game 1. I was expecting a closer game, but we got what we got. Kevin Durant will be back in a couple games. And what were your takeaways from the game? What do you think is going to happen with the rest of the series? And who impressed you and who's got to be better?
Well, I think everyone's talked about knowing that defense they played against Curry, where they basically were letting him shoot wide open threes.
And you're talking about Cantor dropping back on the pick and roll.
And Collins. Like, it was like and they said it was a game plan afterwards, too. So, like, they dropped way back, too, like, in the paint. Like, it wasn't making any sense. And then you get him in rhythm, and then it's ball game. Like, even if I was getting a screen like that and a guy had a fight over and the big literally wasn't stepping up or anything, like, that's just a wide open rhythm stepping jumper or 3-point shot for the greatest shooter ever. It was crazy to watch. But the crazier thing is they were in this game all the way to like midway through the fourth. They never felt like they were in it, but like by the points, like they were down like 6 at one point in the fourth or 8 or something like that. And it never really got to double digits ever until like the fourth, and then towards the end of the fourth it just blew up to like 22 points. But they got that defense. What they were doing was unbelievable. And I mean, you look at how the Warriors were playing Dame. They're trapping them, being physical. They're throwing bodies at him. I know it's not as easy to do against the Warriors to Steph because you know they got Clay and Draymond and everything, and just other playmakers, Iguodala and stuff, all on the court. So when they give up, when they get double teamed, usually good stuff still happens. So they weren't really doing, and they were trapping Cantor when he got the ball, and Cantor was devastated. Like the offense, I don't think the Blazers could have played much worse. I'll put it that way. And they were in the game the entire time.
That's true.
If you're a Blazers fan, you should be encouraged from that point. And Dame,
do you give him a chance to win the series?
I said Warriors in 5 pre-series. I'm honestly encouraged as a Blazer fan after game 1, like with how poorly they played.
No, that makes sense.
And Damian played. You got to think Damian's got to play better. Like he's not gonna have 19 points inefficiently every game throughout the series. But I do have some Damian Lillard stats that I do want to say after the first round, the Thunder series where she was unbelievable and that one shot. Since that series, he is 63 of 157 from shooting, 40% field goal percentage, and 21 of 71 from 3, 29% from 3, at 48 assists to 27 turnovers, a 1.8 assist to turnover ratio, and minus 34 and plus minus in total. So that's, Damian's got to play better. He has to play better for them. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Damian's got to play better. Really, the Warriors are more evenly matched, like without KD. Like, here's kind of a weird take. In the finals, I think that they would be more matched up better with KD with whoever they play because Kawhi or Giannis is going to be on them, and that's not a great matchup for KD. But in this series, I mean, having KD would help a lot, so I still think Blazers have a little help. But as all overall, the way they're playing without KD is incredible, and I think they can be dominant going forward. That's just kind of my take with it because KD does stop the ball, and he's going to have a lockdown defender on him next series.
I think they honestly might be more dominant without KD. It's so tough to say. I mean, it's just the numbers. I mean, the numbers
back that up. The best lineup in history, 2015 death lineup.
Yeah, by the metrics and everything. 28-1 when KD's out and he doesn't play. Just listen to this. Over their last 3 years, when out of all the games, when KD plays and Steph doesn't, they have a 60% win rate. When Steph plays and KD doesn't play, they have a 90% win rate. That's insane. I don't even know how you discredit those numbers. I would say they're a better team without KD, but they're a better championship team with KD, if that makes sense. Like, in the championship moments, KD makes them better, but they would win more games if they never got KD.
All right, well, we are wrapping up for today. A little bit of an NBA lottery preview as well as a conference finals preview. Recap and preview, I guess I should say, for the next 2 games coming up. Again, congratulations, New Orleans, getting Zion Williamson, changed the franchise, changed the NBA pretty much forever. Phoenix Suns, please draft Garland with pick 6. And to all our listeners, we really appreciate you guys supporting us. We've gotten so much support, so much feedback over the last 2 weeks. We can't be more grateful, and we just wanted to keep rolling in. So subscribe on iTunes, 5-star rate, Twitter at bball_nerd.
Yep.
And anything else you want to say?
Over 600 followers on Twitter. I mean, we're only 2-3 weeks into this. We got 7 episodes out. We're tweeting every night. We're showing you, if you want a basketball podcast and account to follow, we aren't going anywhere. We're gonna give you your content consistently. So like and subscribe, follow.
Yeah, like, subscribe. This schedule we've been on, about 2 to 3 podcasts a week. We're going to stay consistent with that. So if you want something you can just turn on every couple of days and get what's happening in the NBA and get some good takes to take into your own argument, come listen up. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you later this week.
You're listening to the Basketball Nerd Podcast.